Hello and welcome back to Conquest Creations. My name is Jacob Lucas, and today in front of me I've got the Lord of the Rings War of the Rohirrim starter set for the Middle-earth strategy battle game. In this video, not only am I going to be unboxing it, I'm also then going to assemble all of the miniatures and finally give you my review on it. I'm also going to be talking about if this is the right kit for you to buy if you're just starting out in the hobby, and how to make a decision on whether or not this is exactly where you should start. I'm really excited to have this box in front of me, so let's crack straight into it. Now, before even opening the box, I gotta say this box art is absolutely fantastic. This is a beautiful box, and this thing is also chunky. Coming in at 2.9 kgs, there is a lot of plastic in here. All right, let's crack into it. Start out with, it is just taped. Where is it taped? There we go. And all right, the moment of truth. I've been waiting for this moment for a very long time. Let's see what's inside. A lot of plastic. Okay, we will start with the least exciting bit. We've got a ton of bases. Actually, you know what? The least exciting bit is the measuring stick that comes with it, going all the way up to 24 inches in brown plastic. All right, get a measuring tape, but if you don't have one, use that for now. And then we've got a ton of bases. Okay. Now let's start getting into the really exciting stuff. This first sprue looks like, what is this, Warrior? Yeah, this is just Warriors of Rohan, I think. And as you can see already, compared to the previous Middle-earth kits, these are in a lot more pieces. With a lot of the older kits, the troops are either 1 or 2 pieces, and these guys are now a lot more. That makes sense, as you know, Games Workshop's gotten better at making molds, and it just allows the models to be more detailed. So there is, I reckon this must be 12 Warriors of Rohan, and this looks like 12 more. I think these are the exact same sprue. Yes. So these are the same thing, so 2 sets of those, and that is 24 Warriors of Rohan. It's weird that they're in these long sprues, because usually the boxes were packaged kind of this size when they're individual models, or individual box of Warriors. I wonder if that'll change, or if they'll probably just cut it there. Okay, so that's Warriors of Rohan. Next up, this has got to be the Wild Men, and again, a ton of pieces. These guys are super cool because they're a lot more modular. You've got a ton of war gear options. Now, I'm not exactly sure how many flaming brands we get. I'd love to put as many flaming brands on as possible, but there's just 2, 3, 4 there. And I think that's all I can see for now. So 4 flaming brands in the kit, which we don't know what those abilities are yet, but they look really cool, so I'm definitely going to be using them. All right, so that is the evil warriors there. Next, this looks like one of Helm's sons. I think this is going to be Hammer, who I believe is the stronger son. Yeah, he's got this big axe. And again, a ton of pieces for these awesome miniatures. And you can see in here, there's several different options on how to assemble them. You can either put his helmeted head on or have a bear head. I strongly prefer having bear heads myself, but you know, it's great to have that option. And then this sprue looks like, actually, hang on. That's 1 horse. No, that's just, or is this 2 horses? What's going on here? So there is, maybe this is both sons. So there's a horse and a leg. So there's 1 horse there and another horse there. Okay, this is both sons. This is both of the characters on this one sprue. Yes, there's definitely 2 horse heads. There's definitely 2 horses. There's 2 sets of heads there and then 2 sets of heads here. Okay, both combined onto 1 sprue. And then this is the evil hero sprue. So we have General Targ. Where's General Targ's? We've got General Targ's sword and his body here, and his head is somewhere. His head is somewhere on this sprue in front of me. But that's okay. We've also got Wolf. You can see it's really interesting. Obviously, we'll go into this more when we assemble it, but they've got the faces as some of the miniatures as separate pieces, which hopefully just gets a really high level of detail in there. Next, we've got 2 sets of the Rohan House sprue. Now, this is an older kit. This kit's existed for a little while. They came out with the War of Rohan book a couple years ago, and they're including 2 of the kits in here so that you can start with a bunch of terrain. I absolutely love terrain. If you don't know much about the channel, we make a ton of our own terrain, so feel free to check that out if you want to support the channel. But it is absolutely fantastic seeing terrain being placed in the starter kit. Terrain is such a big part of the game in Middle-earth, much bigger than what I've found in other Games Workshop games like 40k or Age of Sigmar, so perfect to be starting people out with it. It also means anything in the starter set generally becomes pretty common, so hopefully there's a lot of these houses around because they're awesome. All right, next up, we've got a bit of card. I think this is just to protect the other stuff underneath from the sprues, and it's got this pretty cool poster. That's a nice thing to hang up in my studio. And next we've got, oh, okay, that's kind of weird. It's in an envelope, and it says Playmat Battle of Edoras. So let's, I haven't seen a Games Workshop thing packaged in an envelope like this. That was not the smoothest opening of an envelope. Oh, wow, okay, I've not done a good job of this. Okay, well, here's the playmat. Not really what I was expecting. I thought it was going to be cardstock, how I've seen some of their other ones, but this is just a... I mean, it still feels pretty thick. It definitely has crease lines, but this will be a Rohan Field playmat. We'll get this whole thing out. And here you can see the playmat laid out. Now, I do think this is a little bit lame, but admittedly, it is a lot nicer than I was expecting. The print just looks good. Like, I've played with a lot of battle mats, and I think that this print probably looks better than what I've seen on a lot of the battle mats. But ultimately, it is just a big piece of paper. It is 3x3 instead of 4x4, and the game is still played on 4x4 tables. There was some contention if over the new edition that would change, but it is still 4x4 tables. So interesting to see it being a bit smaller. It does make sense because it can make it easier to learn the game with a smaller table, and you know, the Rohan houses on a 4x4 would look pretty little. But overall, it's not a huge feature. There are two sides to it. One side where it doesn't have any objectives at all, and this other side where it has some objective markers. So it's perfect to learn the game, but I definitely recommend building up your collection of terrain and making a board as soon as you can. Okay, we're back with another envelope, and this envelope says the rules pack. Okay. Here below, we can see the official rules manual for the Middle-earth strategy battle game. I haven't opened this at all yet, so I'm so excited to dive into that. But here is the rules pack. We're gonna do a better job of opening this envelope and do it like that. Beautiful. And here we go. So there's two pieces in here. Here's a quick reference guide, just to get people up to speed who haven't played the game before, with kind of what the most important stuff is. Now, this intelligence stat is what's new to this new edition. I'm so excited to read more about that, but I'll have to wait until after I've unboxed this. And then we have the Battle of Edoras scenarios and profiles. So this is specifically for the starter kit. So it's going to go through kind of how you should learn the game. So this is a game, if you get the starter kit, you've never played before, do this first. That'll help introduce some of the rules. The next mission, a little bit bigger, so you get some more of the rules. And then as you go through all these, eventually you will have learnt all the rules, finishing with this one. We got all the profiles. Now, unfortunately, these don't come with the points values in them. You'll have to get those from the Armies book when the Army book comes out, which I presume by the time you're watching this, it certainly will be out. And then we get into a construction guide, which shows us how to put all our pieces together. And as you can see, there's several pieces to some of these miniatures, which allows them to be more detailed. And then the house is great, and the houses are modular, so we've got a few different ways to assemble them. And then a little summary there. So great way to get started. And then we have the all-important rules manual. Now, the Middle-earth strategy battle game is going to a new edition. So this is a brand new rules manual. This is the most up-to-date one. You can see it's for Lord of the Rings, The Hobbit, and War of the Rohirrim. Let me just see if there's anything else underneath here. Okay. There is some dice. These are not the fanciest dice in the world. I would encourage you to get fancier dice as soon as possible. I am a huge fan of playing with fancy dice, and I've just got some new Conquest Creations dice made up. And here is our rules manual. You can see this thing is just beautiful. Now, I won't be paging through this. We'll just, flip through, have a look at some of these artworks. That's absolutely awesome. You can see, looks like there's a snow theme in the movie. Obviously, I haven't seen the movie yet, so I'm guessing we'll see a lot of snow bases. But yeah, look at the artwork there. I'm definitely going to dive into this, and I'll have another video coming soon for those of you who are already experienced in playing the game of what the biggest differences between this edition and last edition are. All right, well, that's the content of the box. And here is everything inside that box laid out. As you can see, there is a ton of content in here. All right, I'm going to start assembling, and I'm going to check in with you once I've got all of these models put together. I've begun my journey of putting together these miniatures with the Warriors of Rohan. These miniatures came in a lot of pieces, so it took a long time to get all of these assembled. If you're used to the old Middle-earth miniatures that come as one or maybe two pieces, where assembly isn't even a factor, then you are in for a new experience. These miniatures look incredible, and the trade-off is they're more complicated to put together. Now, that's not a bad thing, that's just how they are. I think us Middle-earth miniatures have been used to things being really easy to assemble, and now we're going to be getting used to how a lot of the other games have their miniatures, which is in a lot more pieces. In this kit, there's 2 sprues of the Warriors of Rohan, so there's 2 of every single pose. I decided I wanted a little bit more variety with my poses, and it was really easy to do some simple conversions on these miniatures. There's 4 models with throwing spears and 4 models with hand weapons, and each of them I just did a direct swap, so now I've got 16 unique miniatures, and with the archers I had some duplicates because they were going to be a lot more difficult to convert. Next, I moved on to assembling some of the wildmen. I thought the Warriors of Rohan came in a lot of pieces, and these guys come in even more pieces. They are pretty tricky to get together, and in all honesty, by the time I'm filming this video, I actually haven't finished assembling them all yet because I wanted to make sure this video could get out on time. Now, again, this isn't a negative, it's just something that you need to know. If you're going to buy this box set, these miniatures are a little bit more advanced than some of the previous Lord of the Rings miniatures. If you're used to assembling 40k or Age of Sigmar models, you'll have no worries at all. But if you've never assembled miniatures before, it may be a little bit tricky and take a little bit of work. But that is a part of the hobby process. One thing that I really like about the Wildmen is that you've got plenty of options with these guys. You'll have plenty of bits left over at the end, which means in the future you can do some fun conversions. With all the warriors done, I moved on to the heroes. I started with the Rohan heroes, Haleth, Prince of Rohan, and he actually had several options. You can either build him with a helmeted head or an unhelmeted head, and a axe, sword, or spear. Now, initially when I first saw this model, I thought the axe looked a little bit silly, but after seeing it in the trailer of the movie, I've decided that I've got to build him exactly like that. And I went for an unhelmeted head for him because I like painting the faces of all my miniatures. I next moved on to Hammer the Prince of Rohan, and this is an absolutely incredible miniature. I'm expecting that a lot of people are going to use this miniature as a base for conversions for other models. I can definitely see this being an Aragon as a ranger on horse conversion, or a Faramir as a ranger on horse conversion, or anyone as a ranger on horse conversion. It is absolutely beautiful. I'm of course going to be using it as Hammer, but I'm expecting to see it being used in a lot of other ways. With the 2 Rohan heroes completed, I moved on to the evil heroes, General Targ and Wolf. All of these miniatures assemble just so perfectly. All of the pieces for these miniatures just nest in, and there's no issues at all. I was really impressed with how smooth this process was. Now, again, it took a long time. They're in a lot of pieces, but it was really easy to do, just time consuming. The evil heroes don't have the option for helmets because I presume in the movies they'll never wear a helmet. So I assembled them exactly as is. And I was at the end. Everything was put together. Well, not quite everything. I haven't put together the Rohan houses or all of the Wildmen yet, but I've already got a ton of Rohan terrain, so I might be sidelining that for now. And here we are. In front of me is 2 armies. We've got our evil army and our good army. And now I'm going to leave my review on this kit and ultimately hopefully inform you if you should buy it or not. Firstly, the miniatures are incredible. They take a long time to assemble, but they look beautiful. Seriously, it's such an improvement of quality over the previous ones, and now the Middle-earth miniatures are just fantastic. The heroes in particular are my favorite. I'm super excited to paint them, and as soon as I finish filming this video, I'll be getting some paint on them. And now that everything is put together, it's time for my review. We're going to start with the strengths of the kit and then the weaknesses. For full transparency, Games Workshop sent me this box set for free. The clear strength is just how incredible all these miniatures are. They look absolutely beautiful. They take a little while to put together, but that is part of the hobby process, just like how painting a miniature is. So that isn't a negative. Another strength is the fact that this kit comes with terrain. In Middle-earth, terrain is so important. It doesn't play like 40k or Age of Sigmar if you're coming from that background, where terrain is on the field, but it doesn't make a humongous difference in terms of the way you directly interact with it. Whereas in Middle-earth, you're always going to be moving around the terrain, and it makes a huge difference on a very small scale to the game. So the fact that there's going to be a ton more terrain in the community is fantastic. The rulebook is awesome. I think it's really clearly laid out. They took the previous edition and have just improved it, not just in the rules, but also in the way the rules are written. It's a lot easier to understand how things work for most of the rules. There's a couple of rules when it comes to targeting horses and mount, particularly in the magic section, that can be a little bit wordy, but we'll talk about the rules in another video. I think the main strength of this kit is that it has all of the miniatures and rules and scenery and a playmat and the dice and a measuring stick. So if you don't own any miniatures or any Warhammer at all, you can buy this kit, put it together, and play the Middle-earth strategy battle game. All right, let's talk about some of the weaknesses of the kit, or where it could have been improved. I was expecting to have the playmat on the top of this, to be honest, but really it's actually a lot better than I was expecting. And just for starting out to lay out on a kitchen table or a coffee table, it's perfect. The biggest weakness is probably the lack of variety that we get in the troops. In the previous starter kit, the Battle of Osgiliath, we got some heroes on the good side, and then we got warriors of Minas Tirith and rangers of Gondor, while the evil side, so you get Gothmog, Morannon Orcs, and a troll. Whereas in this, it's just the warriors of Rohan and warriors of Dunland, so there's not as much variety. Now, that's kind of a strength because these miniatures are incredible, but it would have been great to get another unit type in there, maybe to see a monster or an elite troop, just something like that could have been really interesting. The only other weak point, and this does apply to all of Games Workshop starter kits, is that with the rules that were contained in this kit, it didn't give us the points for these miniatures. So if we want to play these in regular match play games, we're going to need to get the Armies of Lord of the Rings book as well. I get that they want people to buy that, but if they just told us the points of the 6 profiles we have in this kit, it's really not going to stop anyone from buying that. So I think that would have been a really, really good addition to it. Overall, I think that this kit is absolutely fantastic, and I leave a very positive review on it. So how do you know if this is the right box set for you to get? Well, if you're brand new to Middle-earth and you like Rohan or Dunland or both, then this is a great place to start. It's got the rulebook, it's got dice, it's just got everything. So it's good. But if you're not a big fan of Rohan or Dunland, then you don't necessarily have to start here. And in fact, there's probably some more cost-effective ways to start if you just want to get one army. For example, if you like the look of the Galadrim, you could just buy a box with some heroes and a box of the warriors, and then the rulebook separately, and you'll come off a little bit cheaper, so you can spend that money on more miniatures or the Armies of Lord of the Rings book to end up in a more playable position than you would be if you just bought this set. Obviously, that's only going to get you one army, but it means that you can get whatever army you want, not just Rohan or Dunland. Hopefully this video has given you some important information about the War of Rohirrim box and helped you decide if it's the right box set for you or not. If you're new to the Middle-earth strategy battle game, then please check out our backlog of old videos. We have a heap of battle reports there, and we're going to have a how to play guide as well as a lot of commentary on the new edition coming out very soon. If you like our channel and you want to support what we do, then feel free to join our Patreon or simply just subscribe. My name's been Jacob Lucas, and thank you for watching.